Hi, welcome to Unit 401093. I'll be the tutor for this unit and Leanne will be swapping and she'll be doing what she really loves, which is complex theory. This unit really is a sort of complex CPU, and the structure will be a little bit different from last semester, as I'll talk about as I go along. The sessions are 2 hours long, so you've got 1 hour less in the CPU than last time, so I'll need to be really sort of on point and quite vigilant so we don't waste time. You should already know which tutorial group you've been allocated to, so there are sessions that are either 7 till 9 or 2 till 4, and that's already been organised with you. I will put up a list of who's in which group, so that if you've forgotten then you'll be able to see which group you're in. The focus of the unit is complex antenatal, labour, birth, postnatal and neonatal, so we do cover everything. Having said that, we're only there for 2 hours a week, so I do expect, along with your readings from Leanne's subject and some of the stuff that I put online, for you to spend more than just 2 hours a week on the subject. To be honest, you're quite spoilt because there isn't really any ongoing sort of written assessment that needs to come in. Your only sort of assessment that you would worry about is at the end of the semester, and that will be when you do your Oscar. So you do need to keep up with readings, but I'm not going to be in a position to know that you're doing that. As much as we've been able to, Leanne and I have linked the theory from her unit with the theory that we look at in the CPU. It doesn't work every single week, but we try to marry it up as much as we can. So for example, you're going to learn about severe preeclampsia, for example, with Leanne, and then we have the opportunity to look at things like drugs and have a simulation in the lab in relation to somebody who's got severe preeclampsia. So I think it works quite well. We've done it for a couple of years now, and I think that it seems to be quite well received. It is reliant on you being highly motivated, but to be honest, you are a highly motivated group of people, so I don't see why that would change. I'm not going to have like PowerPoints put up every week that you need to have pre-read and come to the lecture with. I'm trying to minimize that as much as I can. There will be some PowerPoints that I make, but I'm not expecting you to come along with you know, sort of notes and me sort of almost quizzing you on what you've read. So they may be there just to make a session a little bit more easy. Sometimes I do have PowerPoints, but I won't put them up till after the lecture because I'd rather work my way through them during the session and then put them up afterwards. So if there is any PowerPoint that I use, it'll either be up earlier because I think that I'd like you to pre-read it, or I don't put it up at all, but we use it in the session and then I'll make it available to you. So that'll make sense, I hope. You all work in hospitals that use K2MS. If you work in a private hospital, it's called IntelliLearn, but it's still K2MS. And you will all have access to that as midwifery students. So I have said on some weeks there are K2MS activities for you to do, and I do expect you to be able to do that because I'm not, as I say, it's not content laden, this unit. So if I say that there's a good K2MS activity online, I do expect you to do it. They're fantastic. They really do reinforce your knowledge. So I wouldn't get you to do something that I didn't think was worth it. I mean, just as an example, because I work at an AP in private, I have to do online learning every year, and they're the only activities that I actually do with some degree of pleasure, because I feel like they're really relevant, they're very well written, they're quite clever, there's lots of a lot of information, but then lots of little quizzes and self-tests, and I think they're really well done. Just as a tip, You can complete self-test quizzes at the end. To be honest, I would, if I was you, I would do them and I would print them off. It might make a point of difference between you and another person at the end of the year when you're going for a job interview and somebody asks you what makes you different from somebody else, and if you can pull those out and say, well, I did all these K2MSs and I've done the quizzes at the end and I passed them, here's my score. I would be impressed with somebody who'd bothered to do that. There are some videos that I've put up as well that just might make something make more sense. I don't tend to put an awful lot of theoretical stuff up because I know that Leanne will really give you a lot of that, and I just don't want to bamboozle you. Sometimes if there's some good policies or things like that, then I might put them up, but otherwise I'm not trying to make it content laden. If you have pre-read Leanne's stuff, you should be coming along to the tutorial with a good understanding of what we're going to cover that week. So when you do come along, I do like to do simulations, but I feel that even though we've sort of cut the group in half in the room, it's still too many people to just sit around and do a simulation. Not everybody will get involved, and then people just start cutting off because they're just watching somebody else do something and getting a bit bored and disappointed. So what I want to do is pull a few of you away each week. Probably I'll divide the group into, say, 3, and then but that will then leave a group of you who are not actively involved in the simulation. I don't want you to get bored and, if it was me, naughty. So I have set up lots of like sub workstations related to that activity. So for example, the first week is the second week is related to preeclampsia, and I have a sort of a rolling case study, and in that case study I have activities for you to do related to that case study, and so that might include things like medications, explaining something to the woman, interpreting blood results, explaining how you physically assess somebody to see if preeclampsia is worsening. I've got some CTGs that you need to look at and interpret. So you shouldn't be bored. You should be busy all the time. And then I'll siphon a third of you off at a time, and we'll do a simulation. And because we're looking at preeclampsia that week, then the simulation will relate to somebody having eclampsia. And something that I did the first year I did this was I had all these little workstations, thought that was you know, great. Everybody was really good and they did them, but then they were a little bit disappointed that they didn't always have the answers for everything. So after the fact, I will reveal answers to some of the things I put up. I'm not going to do it for everything though, because I do feel that if you just don't get something, some things I think, okay, if they really don't know that, then always happens, the phone rings. I do think that what I'll have to do is go away. What I'll have to do is get you to, I'll direct you to where to go and read and look something up. Instead of just having a quick fix answer given by me, I sometimes think you probably just need to go and read something a bit better. So it'll be a combination of some things you don't need an answer for because you're just practicing communication skills. Some things, like say interpreting a CTG, I will tell you how I would have interpreted the CTG. Other answers I will give you the answer, and then other things I think, if this is quite complex and really if you're not getting it, I want you to go off and read a bit more, then I'll tell you where to go and read a bit more. Okay, that's that, and that's probably all I wanted to say. Looking forward to it though. I'm happy for feedback as we're going along. I'm always happy for you to give me suggestions or ideas if you think things could be better, if you want, I don't know, less workstations, more workstations. You think I'm mean because I'm not giving you all the answers to everything. We'll have a battle over that one. But please say, because I want it to be as good as it can be, and it's you know, your opportunity to get the most out of your time that you can. All right, I'll see you in a couple of weeks.